Hello, welcome to the Dash DDX Document Management Live event. Just to let everyone know, I'm recording this event today, so we'll have record of this so that we can share it with others that did not join. So today we're going to talk about Dash DDX. Dash DDX is one of two products that are offered by Dash. Our DDX product is document management, and we also have a second product that we call AP Robot, which actually is an AP automation tool that we'd be happy to talk to others about, down the road, after the event. So anyway, today we're gonna talk about Dash DDX, and Dash DDX is a full-blown document management package that allows you to create a paperless office. The tool can be used in many ways. The tool can be used to send information such as invoices and purchase orders directly to customers and vendors. It also, in the same process, is allowed to file that information away and put away in an archive, stored so that it can be secure and able to be looked into at a future date or future time. So the bottom line is the tool is able to send and deliver product or documents to customers and vendors. It also is allowed to file that information away, and it also gives you the ability at a later time to come back and view that same information. Now keep in mind this is all being done in a secure, encrypted and compressed SQL database, and it's fully integrated with SysPro. So you'll be able to work directly with SysPro and work with our product. The delivery side of Dash DDX allows us to email or print an invoice or purchase order and get it directly over to the customer or vendor. What we do is initially set up preferences or a delivery preference setting on every customer and every document type that they may have delivered to them, such as invoices or acknowledgments. We then tell the system to do this automatically, and at the next time that we print invoices or print acknowledgments, that is automatically delivered to those customers. So it's quite a feature and quite a process that really can automate your system and automate the way that you do things today. We also allow you at that time, when you tell the system to print, it can do both emailing and printing. So if a customer does require a hard copy, it will also print it to a printer just as it has in the past. At that same process, when we're doing the delivery, it's also filing away a copy of the invoice in the archive, which can later be brought up, reviewed, and looked at. And again, it can even be emailed again and sent on to a customer. And as I mentioned before, this product is fully integrated with SysPro, and I'll actually show you the integration that we have in just a few slides here. Now, if there's other documents that you'd like in the paperless office or in the Dash DDX archive, those items can be brought in numerous other ways. They don't require that you have the SysPro product installed to get those items into the system. We can actually print, say for instance, an email. We can print an email directly into the DDX publisher, which will allow it to then be archived just as an invoice or just as a acknowledgement or purchase order may be. We also can drag and drop documents directly into a folder, which will then allow us to publish those into the archive. Also, we can queue them up to be delivered at a later time. And we also have the ability even to right-click on a document, so that we can right-click and we will see a publish option there where we send it to the publisher, and will allow us then to put it away and take control of that document and store it with other associated documents in the archive. Where can you as a customer benefit with the Dash DDX product? Well, these are just a number of ways or a number of different areas in the system or even in your day-to-day work that you do at your company. You can look through the list there, but basically we can archive and associate those archive documents to themselves or to other documents, and it can be correspondence, drawings, revisions, quality information, things like that. And all of those items can actually be stored away in the archive, safely put with associated documents so that they can easily be found on a future lookup or future time. I want to just walk through a day in the life of actually using the Dash DDX archive. So we're going to look at a customer order and take it from AR or customer order to AR. First off, you would receive from the customer, possibly you'd receive a purchase order. That purchase order could be in a PDF or it could be a hard copy. If it's one or the other, if it's a hard copy, we actually just scan it in, and then we associate it, with a customer order, and we file it away in the archive. Then when the time comes that we're ready to send acknowledgments out to the customer, we go into the SysPro system and we print acknowledgments. Now we print acknowledgments to what we call the DDX print driver, which allows those documents to be delivered and filed in the archive automatically. It's not something that needs to be done or any special step that needs to take place. It's just a matter of printing them to the DDX print driver. As I mentioned earlier, you can also file away other correspondence, other miscellaneous information, just anything that's associated with the order itself. This will allow us to file away, for instance, an email and then archive it into the Dash DDX. We do this also by printing it to the DDX print driver. Then when it comes time to ship, we can take the delivery notes and we can archive those. We can enter the shipment, and then we can also associate the bill of lading to the archive. Then finally, to kind of wrap up the process, at the time of invoicing, we update the invoice information in SysPro, and then we deliver the invoice by either email or print or by both, depending on what the customer is requesting, and then we file that away into the archive. Now, the one thing that I did not mention here is we file these different items away into the archive. These items get filed away with what we call key tags. So when we file, for instance, a purchase order, we file away the purchase order, the date of the purchase order, the customer name, the customer number. So we file away a number of tags so that you can later look that up from a number of different ways. And that kind of wraps everything up here when it comes to the life in the customer order or AR, is at the point in time when we want to go find those documents. We want to be able to find them numerous different ways. We don't want to require that you have to know the invoice number. Maybe you just know the customer name, and then you can look it up accordingly. Now I want to walk through the actual process that takes place in the background when you actually start out with your SysPro system, and you go ahead and you print, for instance, invoices. When you print an invoice, number one, it'll recognize the form. It knows what an invoice is, and then it will look up the delivery preferences that you have preset in the Dash system during implementation. It will then also, from that Dash invoice, it will look to find the key tags or the keywords that exist on the invoice. From there, it will actually deliver and print, or both if necessary, the invoice, if we're talking about invoices here. Upon that same delivery process or that same function, we will print and deliver that invoice into the Dash archive so that it's stored away, able to be found, searched, and viewed at a future time. There's different ways that we can actually look up these documents in the future. We actually have a public or a Dash DDX viewer application, but we also have a Dash web viewer that is actually an option that you can take a look at if you're interested in doing things from the browser mode. Other documents that can be stored in the DDX archive are Word documents, Excel, Outlook, PDFs. We can store drawings. Basically, anything that you can bring over electronically can easily be stored in the archive because it can be published through a number of different functions there: print, drag and drop, queue, right click, and those are just automatically published with or into the archive. But then they are also associated with like documents such as purchase orders or invoices. And that all wraps up and everything ends up then in the archive. It's all revision controlled, so don't worry that a new document's going to write over another document. We'll keep the older document, but we'll show the new item as the latest revision. Now I want to show an example. Most of you should be familiar. This happens to be a SysPro purchase order query screen. And what I've done here is I've just went in and looked up a purchase order. And what I want to signify here is that we take advantage of the SysPro hyperlinks that can exist in your SysPro system. The item highlighted there is the actual hyperlink. And when I click on that hyperlink, it will give me a drop down. And you'll look down that list and you'll see DDX purchase order. We actually set that up. You can choose to set up DDX hyperlinks anywhere that makes sense to you in your SysPro system. So basically, you choose where to put these hyperlinks. We find that most commonly they're put in the purchase order query screen and in the customer order purchase or the customer order query screen. Those are the most common areas. Now they can be put in other areas also, but those just happen to be the most common. So when you click on the DDX purchase order search, it will then open up the DDX viewer application. It will take you directly to the purchase order that you were linked to in the query screen. It will then associate and bring up all documents that are associated with that particular purchase order number. As you can see on the screen, we've got the purchase order, we've got the receiver information, and then we even have the supplier invoice, which would have came in here probably via the use of our AP robot that takes advantage of our AP automation tool. We'd be glad to get together with you, set up a time, one-on-one demos so that we can go through your specific needs and just talk about how you handle document management today. And I guess at this time, I would also like to open up the floor, to any questions that anyone may have. And I'm just going to look over here. Let's look at the chat. We've got a chat here that states how much information basically can I store in the document archive? Well, the document archive has no length of time that it can store items. We have customers today that have been using the DDX archive and the DDX publisher for over 20 years. The product was originally developed in the late 90s and has been used by customers and continues to be enhanced and proven by customers to manage. I've got customers that have millions of documents that are actually stored in the archive. And as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to worry. It does handle revision control. So if a document gets put out there, a second and third revision of a document, we still keep the older document, but we just state that this is the latest revision. So no need to be concerned about how long I can store documents in the archive. Another question just came up. How can I access information remotely? Well, number one, there's a couple different ways of setting up so that you can actually access information remotely. Number one, you can access information remotely using our standard DDX app, our DDX Viewer app, which all that needs to take place in order to use that app is that you need to be VPN'd into your company server so that you have access directly to the information that's in your SQL database. This will allow you to use the viewer in standard functionality, just as if you're sitting in the office. We also have an optional web viewer that allows you to do this without the DDX Viewer app. This would allow you to go to a screen or to a URL in the viewer, which would take you to our web viewer, and this would give you access to the viewing of documents also in your company SQL database. Now, one thing to keep in mind is it still requires that you VPN into your company network. It's very important to us that the only people that could ever get to your information are people that have legitimate access into your network, and you've given them the authority to do that. So very important that that be a way to do that. Let's see. Let's just, yeah, for now, I think that answers the questions that we have out here, but we would be more than happy, as I mentioned before, if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demo, and we can review the features and functions of DDX and also walk through and help you better understand how this tool can really help you with your document management requirements. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.